Hey, my name is Marian Grebanier, and I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. And I have an accent. Still, apparently, I have something of an accent. My kids ask me to say certain words so they can laugh at me. My first fare was 82, and I had just arrived recently, from the farm in Tennessee with 2 children and a husband who was helping start a tempeh business. And they decided, oh, let's go to the country fair. There was a booth that they could do some food with, use the facility, because they were taking a break. The one who usually had it was taking a break. So we went there to be pushers of tempeh and other soy foods. I made some tofu cheesecake, strawberry sheet cake. I was frying little pieces of tempeh in a wok when I heard some music from around the corner. Would you like me to continue with my story here?
Absolutely.
Okay. It was music that absolutely captivated me. I had no idea what I was listening to. I didn't know where the music came from in terms of its origin, and also what kind of instruments were playing it. But it was actually the marimba group from Eugene. What were they called again? Suddenly I can't think of their name. I always know it, but I do forget things now. Huh?
Kudana?
No, that Kudana came after. No, this was Shumba. Okay, so I was listening to this, frying tempeh up. I was on a mission around tempeh. Let the world know about tempeh. And I realized that this music I was hearing was just like something I had been looking for and all my life I never knew. It was a very intense thing, and it was a particular melody that was being played that really caught me. And later I saw people running by with tubes and all kinds of stuff, and I thought, that must be them. And then I went and they played again, and this was in Community Village, and I saw what fun, my goodness, to look at that, how it was to play this stuff, So, and dance to it. So whenever I came back to the fair, I was always connected with the food booth, pushing tempeh at that point now. And what did we call, what was it? What did we call? Soy World, right, Soy World Cafe. And I just always wanted to hear whatever group was playing. I always didn't have a shift when there was a marimba band playing at the fair. And so we were living in Parkdale, and then we came to Portland. I thought for a year. When it wasn't a year, then it turned out that I was there, and I felt Portland needs a marimba band. And so I, with the help of others, got one going, the first one there. So, and that's become a very popular band. It's existed since '87 and still going. And a lot of other people have started taking it up and forming other little bands around town and stuff. It just keeps growing, and kids in school are playing it as well. But the thing is that I found out that the music, and I mean, this is all because of the fair. I mean, if I had not been at the fair, I never would have heard this. And it was the melody that was there, and I remember asking for this teacher, Dumi Marere, who had brought this music here. We wanted a particular song, and it was like the melody that had caught me, which is a very simple song. And it's a structure which many songs are built on top of. And he said, oh no, you have to learn Mbira first, It was kind of bullshit. He had figured out a way to make some money. To get some other Mbiras, which were not actually the ones that were the melodies that we were talking about. That was another story. But it was just like, oh yeah, all right, sure, if you insist. But anyway, finally, I got to some musicians came through. I learned what the instrument was. It was this big instrument with 26 keys, and it was a melody that always does it. It's just so basic. It's so down in there, and it's a very slow changing, and it's 4 phrases, circle. So that's the fair, and then my kids who had just come from the farm in Tennessee, they loved being here at that time, 82, 83, 84. And I felt at that time I probably was a little stupid about it. I let them run free a lot of the time, and fortunately they didn't come to any harm. Nobody accosted them that I heard. No bad stories. So anyway, yeah, that's my story about the fair. And I continued to do this soy food thing, and a few years I didn't come. One was when I was in Zimbabwe, because I got into the instrument. This is the instrument. The instrument. Imbira, that the music. This is the instrument. Played with 3 fingers, and it's 3 octaves. So, yeah. Okay, I'll play the very basic melody. That caught me. And now the big circle begins. And Melanie, would you beat the beat? Do you know the beat? Okay. I know this is so hard with this. Yeah. Okay. Da, dee, da, da, da. So it's a cross rhythm that where the grooving part goes. Basic melody to me. Anytime you tell me to, I can keep going on.
So lovely.
Right, and then you play with somebody else playing an interlocking part, which is wonderful to get to do. So my daughter, she got into it to some degree. I moved, when my kids left home, I went down to Berkeley for a few years. I thought it was just 10 months, but then it turned out to be 3 years. Because the woman who taught it, it was very hard to find teachers of this, and so anyway. I don't know if this is considered a fair story or not.
Absolutely.
Well, it did change my life. It did change my life, and I felt very blessed that it came into my life, because it's a very deep, soulful music. It's from Zimbabwe. It's from the Shona people, from different tribes within the Shona people. And I did go to Zimbabwe for almost half a year in 2001. But that's, many years after I had already been playing this and people came through. I went back to Portland after 3 years saying, okay, Boca Marimba, can I come back in now? And only one or two people knew me because it had changed personnel so much, and that was part of that band, was that there'd be some kind of chord, but they would also not be, the chord would change somewhat, and there was always overlapping. And then, though it's been, for quite a few years it got steady, but now it's also going through that overlapping thing. So I said, I don't want any of your lead parts. I'm happy just to do the temp. Don't worry. So anyway, I came back, but I was just, this was the music, this was the instrument. And then finally, the guy that I've been playing with since '97, which is when I came back to Portland, and he had come back from about a year or so in Zimbabwe, and he had been in Boca Marimba before he left. So it was just like, so we started playing steadily after that, and we still do. And it's wonderful to have a partner of that length of time, where he showed me so much about percussion, timing, and I taught him about listening and melody. And together, it was just like, now, it's just a wonderful gift to be able to spend time like that in one's life, to play like that with somebody, and to play music, make music happen. And so anytime that we're through, we always thank each other, because it's really been a good thing for us to do, for ourselves, And I like playing out, I do. I like playing for other people, but it's not something that is a usual thing at all. So it's sort of an oddball thing, and so sometimes I feel like, oh, it's too bad I got into something that so few people do.
Hard to find someone to work with, make music with.
Yeah,
you're lucky you found somebody.
Yeah, we're really into it. And so when I first started, we were camping while it was it was a very rainy time, and there was lots of people slipping and falling in the middle of the night on the mud, and we were listening. I could hear it from where I was sleeping. But then mostly we did it. Our booth found a place outside, right by the main stage. And so that meadow, and in the early years, there was a lot of music happening and a lot of drumming through the night in that part. Though the drumming then did move more to the drum circle. It stopped being so much there. But I finally learned, I better bring earplugs if I want to go to sleep here and have some energy to go and do my job at the booth. So. Anyway, but that seems to have lessened tremendously. It doesn't hardly seem to happen. It seems to settle in, it's gotten very much food booths. All booths seem, particularly food booths seems to be more, I'm more aware of them. And we did a food booth, and I'm more aware of how things are together. First, when we were here, it was a water truck delivering the water. It's such brave people. Such busy people. And now, the whole infrastructure keeps getting more and more sophisticated and technically developed, and just the whole system of delivery of water, everything is much more happening in terms of smoothness, and also more and more things get built along the paths, there's also like, oh, look at that, kind of thing, which is fun. I'm quite sure that the clamshell is what we call it. I don't know what you call it. It's the one across from the Ritz, the structure that goes over. And to play mbira is great, because usually when you play mbira, you play inside a gourd to make it much louder. And so we play in there. So some of us started playing there one night, a number of years ago, and it was just like, oh my God, we're like inside a gourd, all of us. We were inside with the gourd with our gourds, and it was just, we had such a good time. So we try to do it. It never quite happened to that degree, maybe once again, but it does happen sometimes again, where the embarrassed take, they discover each other, it's free and we can do it kind of thing. So that's been fun. The Ritz I don't hardly use, but I'm grateful that it's there. I mean, that's another wonderful thing here at the fair, It feels more commercial than it used to here, of course, it's not. I have never been part of any inner circle here, really. Even the marimba and Mbira, I'm not quite in, and we're sort of spread apart, so it's a little hard to find each other. So, but the fair, seen so many children now, so many teenagers who were children, so many young adults who were children. It's just, how many generations are here? 4 or 5? Something like that. So, more and more people, feels like to me. Hasn't it grown? More and more people? Yeah, definitely. So, yeah.
So what's your sorry, go ahead.
But there were a couple things in the first year or two that this just so enchanted me. The imagination, there was one little thing, one little group that I looked forward to, and for a few years they appeared in the night, and they were dressed in white, and they had, I think, a little lantern in the front, and they had a very gentle percussion thing, and there was a moon, they were like moon people, it was a moon thing, and they were just moving very quietly, and it was just enchanting. So that was, for a few years, they showed up and did it. It was very nice. So that's one of the things about the farm. I mean, I'm not doing, how has it changed? I think I haven't seen so many things like that as there used to be. I think that it's gotten so big. But there have been some amazing things through the years, like the amoebas. I mean, were they the amoeba? No. The jellyfish. Did you see the jellyfish when they came through? I thought that was really nice. That was very nice. And I felt, how nice that somebody's done that. But then there was all it was interesting to see how when those sticks, what do you call them? The glow sticks appeared and they started being everywhere, and it was just like, and finally, I was so glad when they were outlawed. Fun. That's a gift in life, to find a team doing a cool thing, doing a good thing, That's a great gift to have. Yeah. We need more of that. You see, people have that thing of, they get into the military because they get caught by that team effort a lot of the time. It wasn't the only thing, but I know that's a lot of what is the appeal. Don't think, this means killing people. Well, when I came here, the fair, it felt like some kind of society that I was comfortable with. I mean, I had just been spending 10 years almost in the farm, and then before that I'd been in commune here and there in British Columbia, and before that in the Berkshires, when people had come from California to there, and there was also the thing happening there with Alice Brock and that crew of people. So I'd been involved in some kind of thing since 68. I'd already moved to the country. I'd left the city in 62, and because I had to get out of the city, and wanted to be in, the countryside. And anyway, it was a familiar. It was like here were people that were. A lot of the people were trying. Anyone I talked to, we sit down and have a conversation. It felt like, a lot of us have been looking for the same thing. We may not be the same age, but because I was older than most people. I was in my 30s by then when the hippies started to arrive, and I still never quite have thought of myself as a hippie. I just have trouble with any of the labels, It's hard for me to think of myself as that, but I guess it really is the case that in many ways I am that culture that calls itself that name. But they were, as I said, mostly younger than me, but no, there were a few my age ran into. seeing people, and on occasion just running into somebody and getting into a really good conversation, hearing some really, feeling like there are a lot of funny, smart people. I really enjoy that very much, very, very much. And so that has a lot to do with it, yeah. And I can get dirty and it's okay if I have stains, and it's and I like being out, you know, and I really do like community, you know. I do enjoy it, even though I don't have it that much anymore in my life, but I like that. I like my kids got into good workers with it. They joined the recycling crew as teenagers. That was their teen thing. And my grandson is doing the same. Well, he's reached the point where he wants to find something also, not getting up at 5 in the morning. I'm working really hard, so I think he's figured out his schedule this year, so he doesn't have to do that. Anyway, so it's been a family thing, and I've been glad to see that, you know, that they were good team members, people who liked working with them. They had a good time doing it with other people who were good team members. Sometimes not. We learn how some have had to deal with that too. So anyway, I like that for my kids' sake. I come back here, you know, was more in line with what I felt like things should be. And I didn't necessarily get involved with the politics. I never really was in an in crowd. But there's still something, really, and I love the land, you know. I loved hearing, part of it pulling me is just the bird I get to hear, the thrush. So what I would like to see somehow is, sometimes I feel like there's too theoretical a thing going about the land, what can be cut back, you know, a little bit. Yes, cut back those blackberries, cut back some tree that's hiding the sign of something, and it's one of these invasive little thingies, and you can trim it back and it will be flourishing and producing again, you know, that kind of thing. And no, you can't do that. You cannot touch it. You cannot. That kind of, to me, is so stupid. So, I mean, all right, it's meant well, but it's not. It's misguided. Let's put it that way. It's misguided, in my opinion. It always was. But then, of course, I was older than everybody. And I've been living out in the wild. I'd been living in British Columbia with my kids. I had left the States because I didn't want my kids going to public school. And at that point, this was in the late 60s, in Massachusetts where I was living, and I had 2 kids already, I could not send my kids to public school. I could only send them to private school, but I could not do homeschooling without getting arrested. Anyway, so I thought, all right, and there's somebody who in Massachusetts had inherited some money, and she bought some land in British Columbia on Hornby Island and said, people come. So I thought, all right, I'm going with my kids, because at that point I was divorcing their father. So that's what I did. And then from there, I learned of the farm, somebody who was friends with people on the farm, and it wasn't, I was on a visit and I came back to the States, and it was like, it was just like such an energy that hit me. Coming from Canada for 3 years, living way in the boonies. I had some crazy people come through from New York City, but it was just amazing that I could feel such a physical blow coming into the States. This was in the early 70s, 73. Vietnam still going on. Anyway, yeah. So I went to the farm to visit, and because my kids didn't really, where I was living didn't have any kids. People had been living and nobody had kids, so I was check out the farm because I knew there were kids there. So It was always a difficult thing for me to be there, but also a wonderful thing for me to be there. I won't go into the whole story there. But anyway, that's where I came from to the country fair, having been 9.5 years there. So, you know, my kids felt like, oh, here we are. So they felt at home. There must be some limit to growth, even though I understand why there's this growth thing. And so because then it becomes hard for people, you know, it gets political more than ever, it seems like. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in that perception, but it's difficult. And then I don't, you know, it's this whole thing of population, you know, the whole thing. It really comes home, the whole thing of the world population affecting the Oregon Country Fair as well, you know. And so, all right, how do you deal with that? I don't have the answer. Because I have, you know, thinking, because I've been noticing it in Portland. Oh yeah, the situation is because of the world population growth over the years. This is why. So, anyway, I do not have the answer because we have already who's there, you know. So, I don't have an answer. It feels, let's see, I know I have had some opinions and it should be this or should be that or could be this or should be that, but they keep coming and going. I don't really, I just want to have a little more Mbira on the stage. I want some change in the music selection a little bit. I want to reflect some of the other stuff that I'm interested in. I would love Habib Kwate come here. I would love. So, anyway, I'd like a little bit more variety, but you know, that's neither here nor there, either. You know, I don't go see things very much anymore. I'm slowed down considerably. 80 years old is not the same as 38. Oh no, I wasn't 38 when I got here. I was closer to 48, wasn't I? 48, 47. Yeah, something like that, yeah. But I had lived a very physical life, which I loved, when I lived in British Columbia, where there was no running water or electricity. And we had a farm, a little bit of a cow. We had a really wonderful garden. We did fishing. We did canning. I did building. We would go and, you know, it was very physical. And I really, it was the strongest I ever was in my life. And I loved that. I really did. And milking the cow, and she liked to be sung to. So my singing went from kind of a whispery kind of singing to a really big, I mean, I could be heard from way away. I got really into it. That was the loudest I ever was in my life. Milking Barbara. So anyway, coming here, it was meeting souls, and I don't really know how to make it continue. It seems to be working in many ways very well, because a lot of things getting more thought out and smoother workings of systems. The systems get smarter, I'd say. But I have no suggestion at this point for where I wanted to go. I really don't know. My time here, lots of magic, a lot, you know, especially years ago when I was wandering more. And I'm glad to see people, you know, children getting into it. I'm glad to see young adults getting into it. I'm glad to see generations getting into it. I myself pulled back. You know, through the years, actually through all the years, I always questioned pretty much coming back. After a few years, I felt like, but any time I went, it was just, of course, it's great to be here. It's great to be here. So I can say the same thing again. And this year I was really like, it's gonna rain. we're in such a middle of such an intense part of our lives right now. What are you taking time off the fair right now? I have an attitude about the fair, I'm sorry to say, and yet every time I get here, I'm glad to be here. So, there it is. Thank you.